right, add me to the live stream. Hi, everybody. Can you see me? I hope you can see me right now. I am still, trying to work out the bugs here. Good evening, all my Speedway fans, not my Speedway fans, all you Speedway fans, and welcome to the second Speedway chat live stream right here on social media. Thank you for joining us. I hope you've all had a safe and wonderful holidays with your family and friends, and it's now 2022, and if all goes well, despite all the COVID and all the other issues with it around the world, we're going to have a great Speedway season, and Speedway will return to California with vigor. More tracks to open, and hopefully, I haven't heard anything from anybody yet, but I will get into some of that information. I'm looking forward to pushing more live streams and to show the nation how great motorcycle Speedway racing is. I love it. A lot of people love it. So stay tuned to our social media for more details. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Only need like 30 more people, and I've got 1,000 subscribers, and I could do a little bit more with the YouTube channel at that time. So so let's get in our chat. With me is Mr. Steve Evans. Let me pull him into the chat room. Steve. Hey, Steve, are you there?
Hello.
Can you hear me? Hey, Steve, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Can you hear me okay?
Background, didn't I? How's it look?
Looks great.
Yeah. It's like I've got a metal wall back here. But thank you very much for joining us. It is a great Speedway season. How was your holidays?
Holidays were great. Lots of family time, really, which is always a balance with what we do.
Yeah, with what you do. You were a very busy man last year. You put on a lot of events, and I'm glad you were able to have some of that holiday time with your family because, geez, I think you live at the track half the time. One track or another, you get to move out to go one place or another. But speaking of that, why don't you let us know a little bit about what happened in 2021? Let's talk a little bit about that 2021 season. You were able to hold a lot of events, and including the new track out there in Bakersfield. Tell everybody a little bit about last year.
If we count 3 flat track races, we did 23 races last year. 10 at Paris, 11 at Bakersfield. 3 of them were flat track races, 8 Speedway, 1 at Ventura, 1 at Santa Maria, and a ton of practice in the early part of last year just to get everything ready at Bakersfield. So it's the most full-on Speedway year I've had. And obviously the trip to Latvia for Speedway of Nations thrown in on one of the few weekends we had off.
Yeah, we'll get into the Latvia and the Speedway of Nations, but geez, tell us about some of the other tracks. I know we'll get into Bakersfield, and Paris is your home track, but tell us, we went to Ventura. How was that? How was that for everybody, all the riders? What did they think about that?
Ventura was outstanding. It was good. We kind of came up with a new vision for it. We'd taken the AMA National Championship rounds there as far as we could, and we had 7 good years of that, but we wanted a different direction. So we kind of did a Speedway Invitational and kind of filled out the night with a lot of flat track. And the 2 sports can exist. They can coexist. You just got to know how to balance it and look after everybody. But the Speedway portion of the show was outstanding. And we already have a date agreed for a similar event in 2022. The track is waiting on the fairgrounds to okay their schedule, but Ventura is going to be back this year. 1 night only. And we're happy with that.
Yeah. At least it's a different place to go, and some of the people who can't necessarily come down to Southern California or even make it up to Bakersfield, I'm sure they're happy to have you come back up there all the time with the show. You also went to Santa Maria, the Speedway 805 or 805 Speedway Stadium out there, and geez, that's a big track. It was really good for. Looks like a really good track for cars, of course, and a really good track for flat track, and a lot of potential for Speedway. But what happened? You held your event, had a lot of riders from that area and from surrounding areas. And unfortunately, it was closed. Tell us about that.
Well, the two events are not related. I mean, obviously, there's certain issues. The stadium owner, Nick Duggan, real good guy, real visionary businessman, great racing enthusiast. But it's fair to say his vision of the facility is racing and a lot of other community events, concerts and festivals and stuff like that. So it's really just comes down to, situations between the track, the city, the new housing, which isn't the wisest thing to build next to a racetrack and a concert venue and all of that. But our event there was great. It was a tough deal because the track we'd staged events there before, and the track really hadn't had much TLC since we were last there 3 years ago. And, they packed the track down. Flat track got away with it. There was a lot of holes. The Speedway was, I said to the guys later, it was Speedway cross. It wasn't really Speedway. It was way too bumpy. But
yeah.
But to be fair, all of the riders that came knew that they were coming to a work in progress. None of them were kind of coming to, critique us or to expect a national championship event. So, I'm sure, I believe things are going on behind the scenes there. I don't know whether it's coming back, and I don't know whether we would be there if it came back, but the door's always open.
Yeah, it seems that whenever houses are put near a facility, a track, a racetrack, an airport, people always, they know they're moving next to a facility that's going to be loud sometimes. They complain anyway, and they end up hurting the sport by doing that. What do you think?
It doesn't help. I mean, it happens all over the place. It happens in the UK. It's true that people need places to live and housing is big business, but you can't, there's a financial benefit from selling land. It's part of business, but there's intangible things that racetracks and sporting facilities give that have no price. There's a track in England right now which has been derelict for years. It's been bought by a construction company. They can't get planning permission. The stadium's falling apart. And this is a racetrack, Coventry Stadium, where, they would get thousands of fans on a Friday and Saturday night watching racing, and kids had heroes and something constructive. And for that to be taken away, I don't care who owns the track and what money they're getting, but it's frankly criminal to take that away.
I agree.
So
I agree. I mean, this is a sport that needs to have that room. There's other places where they could build homes, but that's another ththing. I was out there. I was fortunate to go out there and do a little bit of coverage, and we had a good time. But you had a great year, and because you were able to do that, a lot of the riders are able to ride consistently and get out there. Of course, we do have a new national champion, and his name is Max Rommel, and he is right here. I'm going to add him to the stream. Max, there you are. Hey, how are you, Max?
How's it going, guys?
Good to see you, national champ. And I mean, last time we spoke to you, we couldn't see you. You were at the airport, so now we can see you. You can say hello to everybody watching.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, guys? Glad to be here.
Yeah. Steve, tell us a little bit about Max's development on that track that you have out there, or as a rider, as you've seen. I've seen him riding since he's been a young guy in a 150 class, and the 250 classes he was dominating. Finally, when he got into the 150, he's attained, the 500, he's attained something he's been wanting all his life, I guess.
To be fair, I think through like the junior ranks and stuff, I did all right, but I didn't really blossom till I got up onto the big bikes. I didn't win a youth national championship or anything like that. To be honest, I think Brock got me on the 1 year that I was pretty much, I thought I had it sold, and then Brock Nickel comes in and snatches that thing away from me. So
yeah, and Austin was kind of dominant on you too in that field, right? Yeah. So I saw you racing a lot at Costa Mesa, and That's a track we all miss right now, and hopefully it'll reopen. But tell us a little bit about that whole series there, Max. You going away to New York and then going up north to Fast Fridays to have round 3. How was that?
Well, it was awesome. I mean, with with me being partnered up with Lewis Hughes, he makes everything so simple. So, I show up to the track and I just ride a bike. He takes care of, maintains, and does everything in between to make sure that I'm ready to go. And as you can see, it shows. Being comfortable and relaxed and confident. It's a whole different ball game than what I've ever, any of the past years that I've done it. We did do the same thing in 2019, but I was still fairly new with Lewis. It was still our first full year racing in 2019 together. So when it came down to being 2021, after the wash of a year we had in 2020 with COVID, we were ready and, we were excited to go into it. We had good bikes, everything was up to par. I mean, there was no expense that was not spent to make sure that we had the best of the best when it came to equipment, a pit, everything. I mean, the guy goes out and buys a truck just for us to go racing in. He puts together the entire program. So it made it simple, and, big hats off to him, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had the success. But, the first round in New York went exactly how we planned. I ended up with a perfect score in one of the rounds, and that kind of set a tone going into the final round in Auburn, where, all I had to do, we knew exactly what we had to do. And I believe the points I had to score were 17, or I believe it was 18 at the beginning of the night. Then I beat Gino Manzarez in my very first heat, so I dropped that number down to 17 for the night. So we knew we had a job to do, and we knew exactly what we had to do to complete it. And we made a game plan and went on forward with it, and it worked. It's it's wild that how you can put something together like that and it all falls into place. But with a program that Lewis Hughes provides me, and, the confidence and maturity that I've come into with racing a motorcycle, it all came down to it, and we were all ready to go. So it shows. It just shows that when you have something that good,
very good.
You do
very
it.
good. One of the other events that you were dominant in was the team racing, which you got a picture up here out there at Paris Speedway, which is really an interesting way to race rather than the last man out type of racing we're used to seeing. What did you like about that team racing?
Well, team racing is just different. I mean, it's 2 versus 2 at that point. You're not racing for yourself. You are trying to race with a teammate to get you and your teammate into first and second. And it kind of takes the stress off of it, because you don't always have to win. You can come second place to your teammate and be completely fine, because it's a team event. So I think that takes a lot of stress and load off your shoulders when it comes down to it. Like, knowing that you don't have to go out there and win that heat is something good, especially when you have a good teammate that's willing to team ride or do, what it takes to win. And being like, say, me and my little brother Dylan, we both won the AMA Best Pairs 2 years in a row in 2018 and 2019. So when me and him, we have good chemistry. It's been that way since we were younger, and when we ride motorcycles together, it shows. We know exactly where we want to be with each other on the track. And I think 2021, I believe, was the year that I actually messed it up for me and Dylan for the AMA Best Pairs. I believe it came down to the final round with me, Dylan versus Brock and Luke, and for 3.5 laps, me and Dylan were in second and third place. We had it sewed up, and I decided to go and do I made a silly mistake going into the first corner on the last lap and completely blew it. So if it wasn't for my mistake, I think we would have been a 3-time AMA Best Pairs. But at the end of the day, that's racing, and you can't control the inevitable, and that was inevitably going to happen, I guess. So, you know, you learn from the mistakes and you keep moving forward with it. And we look forward to try and do it again this year.
Very good. Very good. And we know that Dylan, hopefully he'll be able to join us later. I know he's at work, but we're wishing him the best. I understand he's signed with a team over Oxford in Oxford, England, that Steve knows about. And that's a great deal. I mean, I know when he went there this last year, his first time, he had to kind of get the swing of things. I asked him about being there for the first time, and it was a bit of a culture shock for him. How about you, Max, when you went over there?
Oh, it's always different. You know, I mean, you go to anywhere new. I mean, it's like going from here in Southern California to, you know, like, say you go to like Tennessee or North
Tennessee,
Carolina or somewhere where it's like, it's more, you have Southern hospitality. You know, we're here in California. We forget that we're pretty spoiled and we kind of have our own mentality when it comes to being who we are as individuals. But when you go over somewhere like England, you know, you everything changes. It's not just a little bit of Southern hospitality. It's a completely different world over there. You're in a different country that has different rules. You're eating food that you never thought you'd ever eat before because it's just a regular thing there. You know, you're traveling over 5,000 miles away from home to go spend 6 months out of a year with people that you do not know. You have no clue where you're at half the time because you're not familiar with the country. You're driving miles and miles and miles on end. I think in 1 week's time, I ended up putting over like 2,000 miles on my van when I was over there. And I couldn't imagine what Dylan was doing because when he was over there at the beginning of last year, he was at the very bottom of England, and where he was at was just far out from anywhere else. It was kind of just like where I was when I was there. I was centered up in Scotland, and it was hundreds of miles from the nearest Speedway shop, let alone my home track was 45 minutes away from where I lived, but everywhere else was a 3 to 4 hour drive just to get anywhere, you know? So for him going over there, I think it's a huge change in scenery. The weather is, no offense, but it sucks compared to what Southern California is. It's not, it's, you know, it's raining, it's cold, it's miserable. I don't know why we like going over there, but it's that is the stepping stone for Americans to go over to, and you know, you have to deal with it, learn and adapt. And I think as Americans, that's one of our strongest traits is we're able to adapt to stuff like that. I mean, you see it. We have to, especially during a regular season where we're racing on little bull ring tracks that are put together pretty much just days before the race, where you're going over there and you're racing speedway tracks that have been sitting in the exact location. Some have been there for, you know, 30 plus years, and you're just sitting there going, whoa, like this is proper. But at the end of the day, that's, you know, we show up to a track like that and we're able to adapt fairly quickly, but you know, you only race these tracks 1 or 2 times a year and then you're done there. So to adapt,
and then you're on to the next ones.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just constantly moving forward, and it's hard to get into a consistent rhythm like that. You know, I mean, you're on equipment that you're unfamiliar with when you first get over there because you have no idea what setups are. You have no idea how the bikes react to the climate you're in. You know, I mean, just the change in atmospheric pressure puts the bikes under different loads. The different temperatures mess with jetting and timing on motors. You're just trying to adapt in so many different ways, and it could be so overwhelming. So, you know, it's a kudos to him that it didn't phase him too bad to where, you know, he didn't want to go where he wants to go back. You know, it didn't scare him away, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And I believe he'll do really well over there this year, and I have full confidence in him. You know, at first and foremost, he's my little brother, so I believe in him 100%. But at the end of the day, he's a strong individual, and the kid can adapt to anything fairly quickly. So
And he's riding
think
really
he
good.
shouldn't have a problem this year.
He's riding really good as the Christmas MotoFest out there. He was really laying it down, huh?
Yeah, the kid beat me.
He slammed the door on you a few
like
times.
5 times in total that night. I think he beat me 3 out of the 5 times we actually raced.
Yeah, I know. I saw you trying to get him, but
yeah,
he had a good line on there. He had a really good line in there. So
yeah, well, I mean, we were focused on one thing that night. Realistically, was the last man out, and we went there to win that and
you did
make the finals. So once we won that, it was kind of just like a relief. But at the end of the day, as a racer, you go into every single race wanting to win, and he beat me straight up 3 out of those 5 times. But the 2 times that I did get him, I was happy with it, and I think it's just building off of those little things that you have to do.
In the main, you got him by just like a half a tire.
Yeah, no, it was close. I remember doing a cool little cutback on him that he wasn't expecting, and we were battling over 3rd place, so it's kind of hard to get excited over that. You're more like in your head, just go go go. So to put together a race like that with my little brother is always fun. At the end of the day, I love racing with him. So we've been back and forth for years.
Yeah, well, Brock's online. He's waiting to get on and talk to us about the Speedway Nation. But I want to thank you very much. Hey,
you can wait a minute.
You're gonna be there. I remember he was online. He was going to be putting down some money, whether you're going to get it or not. That was a very funny motivator. I bet
I'll put $5 on it that whoever Brock pairs up with, which I couldn't assume he wouldn't go with anybody other than Luke Becker because they did win the best pairs last year. But
yes,
I'll put 5 on it that me, Dylan, or whoever I'm going to be with, because I'm still not 100% sure if Dylan's going to be home for the best pairs, but
right.
If
he is, you guys are you're the pair.
Yeah, but we'll be ready for it no matter what, and I'll put $5 down on it.
$5, Brock. You hear that? We'll get him on later. $5. Brock's throwing out Benjamins over there. Come on,
big time.
Oh, dude, that's different. Hey, that's the difference between him and I.
You're
I
not
really
a
got it like that. I really got it like that. I can't throw Benjamins, but I got a Chris. Well, what's $5? Franklin? What is that?
That's a Lincoln.
I don't know, dude.
That's a Lincoln.
Is it Abraham?
Yeah, Lincoln.
Is it Lincoln? Well, I got a fresh Chris Lincoln for him if he wins. But I mean, he could bet 100. He can give me 100 if I win.
Hey, man, your sticker was a $5 bill, so I like it. Anyway, hey, thanks for joining us. We're gonna. There, he's got something here, Steve.
There it is. I like it.
He's got a Washington.
It's good prize money for me, this. So.
Yeah, perfect.
But you are going to be there on the 15th at Paris, right? For the
I believe so. I have to talk with Lewis about that and make sure we're all go. But I believe that we do have. We are going to be there for the 15th, and go from there. I just have to speak with Lewis.
Fantastic. We get the magic word from Lewis anytime from now to Monday, and we'll be good to go. That's how it normally goes.
Yeah, typically.
Very good. All right.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at the track.
See you next time.
Bye. Oh, fantastic. Great to hear from him. And wonderful, wonderful rider. Great young man. And we got a lot of great young men in this sport. Speaking of the sport, getting on a little bit more, he was talking about going overseas and racing because that's where it's at. You guys went to the Speedway of Nations this year, which was a fantastic showing. The U.S. hadn't been there in a long time. Let me play this real quick so people who haven't seen it or don't know what it is, it's just about a minute so they can check it out. Hold on.
We have semi-finals 1 and 2 here in the city of Daugavpils, Latvia, after which we travel to Manchester in the UK for the finals in October. Kelvin Tatum is alongside me, looking forward to the action. Big night for nations like the USA, who are ranked as outsiders to qualify, Kel.
Yeah, they are, and they've got 2 youngsters in the side now. Their experienced campaigners have now retired, Greg Hancock being the last of those, of course. Brock Nicol and Luke Becker are teammates in the UK. We see them riding regularly in the Premiership there. In heat number 1 with the world champion representing Poland coming out with Dominik Kubera.
Yes, so here we go with the opening race of the night then in the Monster Energy FIM Speedway of Nations. Brock Nicol and Luke Becker up against Bartosz Smarslik and Dominik Kubera. Team manager's advice, quite simply, avoid a last place. And a little bit of a movement on the inside gate didn't help the USA there. Luke Becker very, very nervous indeed. And Poland are off and running. It is...
That was a little bit of the Speedway of Nations, and I put a little America USA Team USA cut together. You can watch all that on the YouTube channel. It's a bit long, but it's what these riders are riding for here in America. I mean, we have our national championship, but there are guys out there that really want to attain the World Speedway Championship, which we have 4 of them. 4 United States champions out there. Tell us a little bit about that racing out there, Steve.
It was a fantastic event. I mean, it was a tough event because you're up against some of the best riders in the world and Grand Prix riders. But we firmly believe that we will be there in the final soon. This was the track was a very difficult track to race, mainly because there was about 45 minutes of practice on it, less than an hour before the meeting. So there was no time to really get it ready. It was like the track was semi-trashed before it began and was completely trashed by about 2/3 of the way through. And our guys kept going on that track. We were inches away from the final. And I know people say we did well, and we know we did well, and we know we exceeded expectations. But when you're that close, you always come away, you know, really wishing that something else would have fell in your favor to make the final. Because, quite frankly, the way that we performed, you know, we deserve to be in the final. But it is what it is.
Deserving is one thing, but you got to work for it at this level. I mean, they brought the boys out with the Speedway world champion there, a 2-time world champion, Bartosz Smarslik. And yep. I mean, that had to be a little bit of jitters for you as a first-time team manager in that, right?
No, I mean, not really jitters, to be honest with you. I don't think that comes into it. It's like I've been present at plenty of these events before, and really, with the pairs format, there's things the team manager does. You try to be useful for your riders. You try to help them. But at the end of the day, they're the ones performing on the track. So, you know, you have to help them and work them without getting in the way. And they're both accomplished. Both Brock and Luke are both accomplished professionals racing in Europe. So you know, we really, the team manager has a role, but it's really, you know, our fate's in their hands, so to speak.
Yeah, Brock and Luke have been racing overseas for a good part of the 2021 season, which is a great accomplishment because we really haven't had people racing overseas a lot. But why don't we bring them in? I'm going to bring in Brock Nicol right here. Brock, hey, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Very good. I understand you're in Arizona doing some training right now.
Yeah, just
hear me?
Yeah, I just got here today. Just gonna stay here for a month or so, get ready for the season. I think it's just the best way to do it. I think that's where I need to take my racing to the next level, is on the fitness side of things. So yeah, just coming here for a month, kind of get away from everything, no distractions, and just focus on the racing to get ready for the season was the best thing for myself, I think. So that's what I plan to do.
Very good. I brought in Blake Borello, the young gun, under 21 rider, who they Steve, they kind of were chiding old Blake Borello over there of having a real American name, and they really liked you, Blake. Tell us a little bit about what you thought about when you were over there for the first time seeing this level of racing.
Yeah, it was definitely an eye-opener for me. I'd never seen something so big before, just racing all the small tracks in California and going to that, and the size of the track and the stadium, how well built it was, and it was very impressive altogether.
Yeah, Steve, did you have to? What was the dynamics of traveling with Blake overseas? I'm sure it was the first time he'd ever been over in Europe. Blake, I'm assuming it was your first time to be over there, but I saw you on social media. You picked him up, then you guys went.
Yeah, we met halfway. Well, not halfway. We met in DC and flew the rest of the way, and we're basically, traveling together for the rest of the time. Blake was great. I mean, Blake was low maintenance, and we had a little bit of, I wouldn't say tourist time, but I think the first day we got to Latvia, the trick was to stay awake and just go into the town and grab a cup of coffee, because if we really needed to sleep at that point, but if we slept when we arrived, we'd be awake at midnight, like ready to go for the next day. So,
right, the next day.
It was a lot of miles. So everyone has the picture. We left California on Wednesday, got into Latvia after 3 flights, lunchtime the next day, local time, and then stayed at Riga, which is where the airport is. Then the next day, drove 3 hours to where the race is. That's Thursday, raced on Friday, got back to the airport, drove 3 hours to the airport on Saturday, flew back Sunday. So it was 5 days door to door. It was pretty intense.
Kind of grueling. Brock, you and Luca were already over in that area. How was it when you saw the boys come to the track and get ready for this race? I mean, did you have to talk to Blake a little bit, and did you give him a little pep talk or something?
Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, yeah, getting together with a bunch of American boys is always good. I feel like we're probably the country with the most pride and closest. Everybody kind of does their own thing, but I feel like Americans now and always in the past have been so close and bonded real well. So yeah, it's always good to have familiar faces, especially so far from home.
Right.
But yeah, it's such a big event. I mean, not only for myself, but I couldn't imagine for Blake. I mean, I do remember those. It was only a few years ago for me, my first time doing it, and just the whole experience and that level just brings so much intensity. And but yeah, it's just all about taking it all in, learning as much as you can, and yeah, just having fun with it all.
But it's really the direction you need to go to get that world championship, right? I mean, you just can't do it here at these tracks. The speed over there that you have been experiencing and getting better at, it's just apples and oranges, isn't it? One is different than the other.
I mean, all them guys grew up racing on them types of tracks and kind of all racing with each other. So when we come over, it's always kind of playing catch up because we don't get as much experience on those type of tracks. And there's so much. It's not just the size of the track. It's the material they use. There's so much that comes along with it that nobody really sees from the outside looking in. But yeah, it is hard, but you have to. Max was saying earlier, you got to adapt, and I feel like we're pretty good at that. Some it takes longer than others, but yeah, I'm happy with how things are going at the moment. I know it's hard and it's gonna be forever, but yeah, I love the competition and I love putting myself up to difficult tasks.
Yeah, that's definitely what you're going to have to do. And Blake, that just showed you some of the grit you're going to have to develop a little bit more as you progress in the sport, I guess, eh?
Yeah, that was the first stepping stone of it all, and just seeing the amount of speed it takes and dedication just puts into perspective really how much effort you have to put into it.
Right, right. Now, Brock, you had also been racing in England with the Wolverhampton Wolves. Tell us a little bit about that, and where you're headed off to in Poland, I guess, for the 22 season. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Last year was good. I started off very well in my opinion, and then I kind of hit a down slope. But that happens, and kind of picked up towards the end of the season, made it more consistent, which was good. So I was happy to finish off like that. But you're always looking for more, really. I mean, the season's over now. I'm happy I learned, and I'm a better rider than I started. So I could be happy, and now it's on to the next year. So I'm signed up with Glasgow now for 2022, and then also with Pila coming back in the Polish league. So I'm very happy about that. I think that's a big stepping stone for the future is getting into Poland. That's where the future of the sport is, really.
Right.
So yeah, I'm happy to finally make it there. But yeah, just looking forward to another full season. I mean, this last season I did so many meetings. I think I was, out of all Speedway riders, I was second or third for most Speedway meetings done in the season, which I just seen that the other day, kind of surprised me. But it's a lot. I mean, doing all the traveling on my own and doing the bikes and all the meetings, and it's a lot, but that's busy. What I go there for. I don't go there to sit around. I go there to learn and ride my bike and try and make my way up the ranks. So yeah, looking forward to another season like that, just busy and keep climbing up the ladder. But yeah, happy to get abroad and see how that goes.
And tell us about this. Are you now doing some modeling over there? You're on the cover of the Wolves. You got a great smile. You're a good-looking guy. You got to be having a great time over there.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome time. I can't complain. I'm no model though. I'm far from it. But I think my teeth are the only thing good I got going for me. But it works here and there, so I can't complain.
No, there's no complaint there. Now, I just saw this and I thought, oh my gosh, now it's the big time. He's on the cover of a program. I mean, how many did you bring home? Did you bring any home for people like me? Sign them or what?
Yeah, I brought a lot home. They gave me all the spare ones, but yeah, I'll have to find them. I don't know. I just give all that stuff to my parents, really. Yeah, and they sort out what they want to do with it. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Steve, ask him a couple questions that I may not have been able to ask that people might be interested to know.
Which is the most difficult accent to understand, Wolverhampton or Glasgow?
It's got to be Glasgow. When I first went up, I'm quite used to it now, but first going over there, I swore they were speaking in a different language. The locals that speak fast, it doesn't even sound like English, but I mean, doing 7 months, you're bound to get used to it. So yeah, it was all right towards the end. I was able to have some conversation.
Oh my gosh. How about the food? When you're over there, how about the food? What is one of your favorite dishes? And I'll be right back. Go ahead. Go ahead.
One of my favorite, yeah, I'm not sure. That's a hard one. Probably just anything I could get that tastes as close as the food back home. But yeah, it is different. They're obviously evolving. I've heard stories about they didn't have nearly as much as they got now as they did back in the day. People would have to drive miles and miles just to go to a Burger King or something. So yeah, I'm lucky in that aspect. We still got stuff like that all over. Every like stop on the motorways got any like fast food like that. So yeah, we're pretty lucky, but I don't mind the food too much, really.
Yeah. Blake, what did you think? Do you have any exotic meals when you were in Latvia that you never thought you would eat, or did you try to find junk food, American junk food, whenever you could?
I mean, Steve and I definitely found all the local pizza parlors for lunch. And the hotel we stayed at definitely had chicken nuggets in the breakfast bar, so that was pretty cool too.
Very good. Very good. So
The
a little bit of
worst thing
stuff that's
was-
close to home.
The worst thing with the Latvian food is because the race day is pretty long and intense, and it's a very structured thing. So we had to be at the track at 11:30 a.m. to take photographs. The TV photographs you see, they take the headshots there and then. And then, of course, then bikes coming in and riders are with mechanics. But at some point, you've got to get the riders out of there just to get a bit of rest and food. So we end up finding this place to eat, and it takes them about, over an hour to make 6 hamburgers. It was ridiculous. And every time I asked, it was 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes. And then I wanted to order some more food to take back. And then they told me, well, that'll be another hour. I'm like, no, we're not taking food back. So it was, there's no hurry in Latvia, it seems.
Don't they have like hot dogs over there? I mean, brats seem to be like, some type of national food.
Yeah. We wanted to give the guys something kind of decent to eat that they wanted to eat, because when you're at the track, there's no time to think about this, and you got to be nice and fueled and hydrated, because once the race gets into a rhythm, this is me not riding. So the riders probably only have it worse, but you just don't think of anything else but just the 21 heats ahead and qualifying. It's just, it just goes in a blur. It really does.
Well, that's very interesting. I know I've traveled, and it's food is always something that you never really think about until you're there. But I think that we have a really good chance of making the Speedway of Nations in 22. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, we can only be considering being in the final. It's a completely different ball game now, because it's all going to be in one country over 4 days, one country, one track. And it's in Denmark at, I think it's Ebsjørg, if I pronounce that right. And the host nation is seeded to the final, meaning there's not going to be like a Latvia with a home advantage like we had this year in their round. So all bets are off. But I mean, it's important, because not only is it Speedway of Nations, but the top 8 countries out of this year's competition qualify for the Speedway World Cup that's coming back next year. So we cannot not be in the Speedway World Cup. So this is like, the ante has been upped even further. This is like the real deal. And though on race day, it's all about race day and the riders and the coordination and the team, but things like Brock getting his deal in Poland, that's huge, because in my opinion, you obviously qualify and win the event on the day, but there's the things that happen now, like Dylan being signed by Oxford. That's huge. Brock to Poland, Luke being retained by his 3 teams in 3 countries, the setup that Max has and the team behind him. These are the things that really make a difference. And we really want to, have a squad of riders that can be our hardcore, that get us through this Speedway of Nations into the final and into the World Cup next year with some success in the World Cup. So we're thinking 2 years ahead.
Well, that's the way we all have to think. We have to think a little bit ahead, and I know that's the way you're thinking, Brock. And I'm expecting you to make that cut and be in that team and do everything to help us get into the finals for that. And I want to thank you for joining us and stuff. I know you've been training all day, but I also want to thank you very much for letting me have this 3rd place trophy from the North American final last December at Paris. I display it nicely right in my living room. That's what I had to go get. But thank you, Brock.
That's cool.
Yeah, no worries.
It is not a paperweight, baby. People come into my place and they said, "What is that?" I go, "Oh man, Brock Nickel, blah blah blah." And they're like, "Who?" And I'm going, "You guys, none of my friends know Speedway like I know Speedway, but I'm working on that. Anyway, thank you very much, Brock, for joining us from Arizona. And Blake, you're up there in Greenville?
Georgetown, technically.
Georgetown.
So I'm half an hour away from the local track, Fast Fridays, where I normally race.
Yeah, and you're snowed in up there, right?
Yeah, we got about almost 2 feet last Monday, so I couldn't even go to work. It was crazy.
Well, you need it, because last year when I went to this to Fast Fridays to stream for one of the races out there, it was smoky and terrible and dry, and I'm glad it's not that way anymore for you guys up there.
Yeah, no, it was awful for a little bit with the fires and all that. A lot of stuff burnt down, and then all of a sudden we have all this snow, and every tree is just over in the road, and it was just mayhem last week.
Oh gosh. Well, take care out there. Thank you, Brock, and we're going to continue on with Steve. Thank you, guys. We'll see you at the track. Brock, are you going to be able to make it to Paris next Saturday?
Yeah, I'm trying to sort that out now. I'll be hopefully flying back for all the meetings. So
fantastic. I think I'm
less stressed that you're in Arizona now. That's good. Best of all worlds.
Yeah, I think Dylan was throwing out a 5 for the win. You were throwing out a 10. Yeah. We'll see who wins.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a great credit too that the Brock and Luke and Dylan, they race when they come back, and they don't have to, because as Brock said, the season there is freaking brutal. It's intense. It's lots of meetings, and if they wanted to take the winter off, I wouldn't have a problem. I wouldn't complain. I want them to ride. They want to ride, and I think they really like to just like race in front of the American fans when they can. So Brock, thank you. And Lukey for listening, and Dylan, thank you. It really means a lot that you guys, obviously you race the big events because they're American finals, but you come and race when you can. It's fantastic. It's a credit to who you are for this sport.
That's right. Thank you, Brock.
For no worries. And thank you guys both for putting on all these events and allowing us to get on the track during the winter. It's a big part going into the season of being fresh on the bike. You don't have to break off the rust. So yeah, it's like you said, it's all the big picture, all the little stuff that goes into it that makes you have a good season. So yeah, thank you for putting on the events, and Ken, thank you for all you do and covering all these things and getting Speedway out there.
Thank you for being a Speedway rider to cover. I've known about you riding since you were on the 250s, and you really made some improvement. Blake, we'll see you next Saturday as well.
I'll see. I'm gonna see if I can get there, sort some things out too. Just got put on a little bit of a tighter schedule. I'm on a race team, and we have a race at the end of February we're preparing for. Okay. But if I can peel away, by all means, I'll be there.
Good luck. Good luck with everything, and thank you very much.
It's only 9 days away. No need to panic yet. We'll work it out. So.
All right, Steve.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Take it easy, Blake.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Hey, look.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great stuff.
When you see guys like Blake and Brock and how they are here, and Max before, and plenty of guys that aren't on, you're asking before about the amount of races we do. That's really what keeps it going. When you see these guys developing and being a part of it, and then going and racing overseas, or in Max's case, winning major championships here, that's tremendous.
Speaking of that type of individual who comes back and gives back at home by going to the track and actually getting more practice in, a guy who had a fantastic day, winning lots of heats there over at the Moto Fest in Bakersfield. It is Dylan Rummel. Hey, Dylan, how are you?
How's it going?
Good to see you.
Not too bad. Just sorry I might be a little late to the party.
No, you're not late at all. You're just in time. Actually, thank you for joining on my late request. But we want to take this time to congratulate you on your new team that you signed with. I talked to Steve a little bit about the Oxford Cheetahs, and he tells me he was a big fan of them back in the day. And tell us a little bit about that new contract you got going on.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to be riding for Oxford. It's I'm not 100% sure on the history. From what I've been told, it's quite rich. I think it's a great club, and I know that the new management that's running it now should, from what I've been told as well, they are looking out for, the future of their club and the future of what they're going to do with it. So I think that's a good sign. I know I'm not exactly sure of my teammates. I'd have to take a look. I'm not sure if they've all been announced. I'm pretty sure they have.
I think you were the last one today that was announced. So the teams, I'm going to put it up while you guys talk. Sorry to interrupt.
All right, no worries.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, definitely great teammates. Definitely cool guys, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to taking a spin around that circuit, and hopefully building off of where we left off of last year.
Right. Well, I spoke to you over there at Kern for the MotoFest, and we had mentioned how it took a little bit of time for you to get into a groove of being out of the country, being in a different country, and that's just something you just have to experience for yourself. That's just no one can tell you about. Am I right?
Yeah. No, I think what I've learned from a lot of that as well is, I don't think that I'm necessarily a rider that could, like a lot of guys that you might see that, they can kind of hop off a bike, stay off it for a few weeks, a month at a time, get back and, pick right up where they left off.
Yeah.
I guess
like Chris
I'm not
Kerr.
sure what it is. If it's just, yeah, exactly. That dude, he's a legend at it.
Yeah, Chris
Unfortunately,
Kerr.
yeah, I wish I had that gene, but unfortunately I have, I think that's really what I learned is I have to stay on the bike. I have to stay active. And I mean, if I'm riding, anything less than once a week, and even that, I think I start to slowly lose my confidence on the bike and riding different tracks. But, I think that relates to the end of my season where I was riding a lot more frequently. I was, riding 2 to 3 times a week. I was, just doing all these kind of things that were creating a repetitive process to where I could build off of it. And I'd remember where I left off and all of that. And then, from there, I think that's really when my points started to come.
Yeah. We a lot of people were watching you and stuff. And we were wondering, I know that it just takes time to get into a groove of anything, but to be away from home like that was your first time to do something like that. Am I right?
Yeah. I'd went over once for a few weeks, I believe, for the World Cup a couple years prior. But yeah, it's a whole lot different thing going over
when you're there for months
then,
on end, right?
Yeah,
months on end. It's like
exactly. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
living there and air quotes visiting are definitely two different things for sure.
Right. So I asked the other guys about the food. What was it? What about the food? Did you like, or was it different for you?
There's honestly, I didn't still, even towards the end, I didn't favor any of the food really.
Yeah.
Just not for some reason, I don't know what it is, but they don't like salt. I love salt.
You're going to bring your own bottle.
Yeah.
They don't like flavor. That's the problem. They don't like flavor.
Flavor.
Any flavor.
Yeah,
even in the pizza?
Even the pizza over there is different. I think there's a couple things, obviously we kind of want to watch what we eat and all of that, but it's just, that's tough to do when you're on the road, as much as you are when you're racing. It's constant. You're always at a service station or, somewhere like that, because you're driving late at night, getting back from a meeting, or you're driving somewhere and you're heading towards a meeting. And there's really, when you're driving, there's really only fast food and service stations that are pretty much kind of all just sell junk, which is unfortunate. But
yeah,
there's definitely
it's good you're young, you can take it. You're young.
Yeah,
you can
luckily.
take it. You get a little older, and it sticks to your bones longer.
It sounds.
Oh yeah.
It sounds.
No, I gotta watch what I eat. Go ahead.
It sounds glamorous on paper to be racing for a British team, and there's a lot of it that's great. But there's, the kind of real aspect of it's quite different to, we kind of watch a race on TV, and that's great. But there's everything else that goes on in between. So.
Right.
Yeah. No. What you see on TV is maybe 1 to 2% of what's really happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's really it. And you'd think that that's the hardest part, but it's a accumulation of different things and a ton of different things that it all has to fit together. And if it doesn't, it'll show quite quickly.
Well, let's hope you can keep it together. Just before we get you off, Steve, give us a little bit. When I spoke to you before we did the stream, you said that Oxford was the team when you were younger. And now that Dylan's riding for them, that's really something that is a feather in the cap for you, right? The feather cap for him, but it's a thrill for you, or you said something like that.
It's great. I wasn't a fan of Oxford because I was a fan of Wolverhampton, meaning you're not a fan of the other teams. You want to beat them.
Yeah,
but
right.
I went to my first Speedway meeting in Wolverhampton in '84, but I started going properly middle to the end of '86. And that year, Oxford won the championship, and they actually went through the entire league program unbeaten. They won every match home and away. And their top rider was Hans Nielsen, 4-time world champion, one of the greatest riders I've seen. Unfortunately, he was the Danish team manager who beat us in Latvia, so I don't like him so much anymore. But they had Hans Nielsen. They had Simon Wigg, the late great Simon Wigg, who was a multi-time world long track champion from England. Guys like Marvin Cox. It was just absolute star-studded team, and they won the league. And then the next year they won it again. So Oxford was the kind of top team when I started to go watch Speedway. And I've been to the track several times in many great race meetings there. The greatest one was when Wolverhampton won in the last heat, where Sam Ermolenko and Ronnie Corrie got a 5-1 to win the meeting. So that was maybe a few years later than that. But it's a great track with lots of heritage. It's great that it's coming back, and it's a decent looking team. It's Scott Nichols, who's the 7-time British champion, former Grand Prix rider Troy Batchelor from Australia, Cameron Heaps from Australia, Kyle Newman, who's a kind of good, solid middle-order Brit, a guy called Jack Thomas, who's a young Brit. He raced against us, Dylan, when we were at Kent before the World Cup a few years ago, and Australian Josh McDonald. So it's a mixture of English-speaking different countries, 3 Brits, 3 Australians, and 1 American to add to the fire. So it's going to be a good team.
One Yank, as they call you over there, right?
Yeah.
One Yank.
The Americans are here and there. We have 4 Americans racing in Europe next year because Ricky's going to be at Glasgow with Brock.
That's right. I don't bring up Ricky because I don't see him anymore, but I understand he might have spent some time here relaxing for Christmas. But
I think he's over here, but he's got family to catch up on that he doesn't really see much. So I'd spoke to him tentatively about racing, but he couldn't do the American final. But
yeah, it's totally understandable. Maybe sometime I can get him on here and we can talk and people can reconnect with him. But hey, Dylan, I forgot to ask this of the other guys. If people wanted to connect with you and stay and follow you, what's your social media? What can they follow?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, just Dylan Rummel, one word. Facebook, Dylan Rummel. Follow me on Twitter. I believe it's Dylan Rummel 3. I'm not really on Twitter that much, but yeah, follow me there. On Facebook also, Dylan Rummel Racing. That's my race page. You'll see all my updates, which I'll actually share most of those onto my normal Facebook page. That way most people can see it. If they're not aware of that page, then they can see it on mine. So
good.
Yeah, those are all the places that you can see it.
All right, everybody, you stay in touch with Dylan Rummel over there so that he knows that you're following him. And thanks, Brock. Anyway, everybody follow him on his social media and give him some props. And let us know whenever you're racing. Heck, PM me or DM me and let me know that you're racing here, you're racing there. I might bother you over there just to find out how things are going. We might be able to talk while you're overseas, if that's okay by you.
Yeah, no worries. Great.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And we'll see you Saturday, next Saturday in Paris.
Yeah, I think I'll be there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
No one knows for sure 9 days before, but they'll probably all come. So I don't even know.
I heard there's money being put on the table, so you might win it. You never know. You got to be in it to win it.
Oh, you said there's money? I'm there.
All right. We'll see you at the track. Thank you, Dylan.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye.
Yep.
Very good, Steve.
Great. Yeah.
Fantastic.
What's good? Yeah. What's interesting this year with Speedway of Nations is the reserve now doesn't have an age restriction, so you don't have to have an under 21 reserve. So it opens the door.
So you can everybody can be over 21.
They changed the rule. The under 21 reserve rule isn't current this year, so it gives the American team much more options and much more strategy, and we're hoping that. Obviously, Brock and Luke are the most experienced, but Dylan, Max, Gino, depending on his recovery time, and Ricky are all contenders for 3 spots. And we want to, it's kind of good to be in a position where the team doesn't pick itself like it used to. Obviously, there's probably understandably riders who are more expected and the favorites for the immediate spots, but it's really all to race for. And with the World Cup qualification on the line when we race in Denmark this July, it's really like just give it everything, because it would be absolutely heartbreaking to not.
Yeah,
without doubt.
Yeah, but thank you very much for doing all that you're doing to get the riders out on the tractor and all this COVID restrictions and everything. If you weren't there to do it as an outlaw as you were, I don't think we'd be anywhere where we are now within Speedway. And I enjoy it a lot, and I'm able to do what I do to bring it to everybody. And I appreciate you allowing me to go there and do it with you as well. So I just want to say thank you. Huh?
What keeps us showing up? Yeah, we actually had, this is something that I'm sure I should be saying, but we actually had a VIP from a top overseas team out at Bakersfield a couple of days ago, with the view of setting up an international event with 3 Grand Prix riders. And we were initially looking at this spring, but just with all the current COVID stuff and a few logistics, it's not going to happen this spring, but it's most likely to happen this fall. But we've got, we are going to be bringing Grand Prix riders, not Grand Prix caliber, but 3 riders in this year's Grand Prix series would be confirmed to race out in America. So we're taking things forward. It's kind of still being worked around, but the individual left and told his club we're going. So there you go.
Well, very good. So I'll do my best to help everybody know that. I know you're very strong on social media, but we'll talk about that as the year progresses. This is just my second time to do this. Still working out the kinks and stuff, but I think this is a great way of getting people to see the riders, getting people to understand what we're doing here in America with regard to American Speedway, and trying to get us back into the World Cup is the holy grail. I know it is. And I know that all the other promoters that are working within this sport. Can't wait to get their season started in 22. I hope to be able to talk to them as well. I know that you're all for as many tracks being open as possible. Let's hope we can see that happen this year. And I just want to thank you very much and Happy New Year. And who's the cat behind you?
Matt, yeah, that's one of the 4 animals of the house. The other ones are elsewhere. But this guy wanted to be
the team captain, is he?
Yeah. He's my marketing director.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Steve, and I'll see you later.
Thanks,
thank you.
Great. See you at the races. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
All right. See you in a couple days. At the end of on the 15th.
Sounds a plan.
Bye. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me here on XSRA.tv's Speedway Chat Live. And we're going to put another one of these together. I'll see who I can talk to in the future. I do want to bring on Gino Manzarek. He's one of my favorite riders. I've been watching him since he's been a young man. I saw him do his first main event at Costa Mesa many years ago, and we're all pulling for him. He was very, very badly injured at the last race of at Paris Speedway, and I just know that he wants to get back on a bike. He's a very strong and determined individual, and everybody loves him. And if you have a chance to be in contact with him, just give him your best, and we hope that he'll return. But if you want to see any of the videos that I've been producing, any of the races or live stream rewinds, get into the YouTube page, YouTube at XSRA.tv/extreme speedway action, and subscribe. I only need 30 more people, and I got 1,000. Wow, that would be great. Aren't there 1,000 or more than 1,000 Speedway fans out there? I sure hope there are. But give us some likes, follow the guys. It's not about me, it's about them. I'm just a conduit to make it happen, and give you the opportunity to see them. So I want to say thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again. We'll see you at the track. How's that? Bye, everyone.